All right, looks like we're in good shape here. The ground looks soft and it's not overly wet. I think that's going to work. Trying to check out the ground here for continued planting in my front tree mound, I guess the black gum mound, we're going to call it now. And this will be, I think, a good spot for a couple of new Iris germanica. I got Lovely Senorita and mail ordered those. It's just, the key here is they have to be planted just below the surface. So I'm not necessarily expecting blooms this first year, but I think the color itself, when you take a look at what the photos will look like of the actual flowers, I think that will be a nice complement to this sort of apricot, warm colored apricot, orange, red color theme that I have going on here. Hi everybody, I'm Lori. Welcome back to Milkweeds and Roses, a Zone 5B garden here, where this time of year the weather is just a real roller coaster. In fact, I'm trying to get just a couple of plantings done here before the next wave of intense storms hit. I mean, right now it is rain that's expected for the next several days, and we can use it. I welcome that. But it makes it kind of hard to get things done. On the positive side, it's certainly nothing beats rain to wake up the garden and really get it going. I'll finish this planting up, and then let me give you a garden tour of where we're standing right now here in April. Come along. So just a little piece of a rhizome here, not very deep. And I want to spread. What I'll do is take out the little big wood chips that I've got going on here. These have to sit kind of high up in the ground. For right now, this area is stays a little bit damp. This had a 40-year-old ash tree in it, and we did have that taken out last year, but this area is definitely, the soil in this bed is transitioning, and there's still a lot of roots in here. Drainage is strange in spots as the roots underneath the ground continue to deteriorate. So the key thing with this is it has to be not planted too deeply, otherwise they won't bloom. You'll get a lot of this foliage, but not a lot of bloom. So we'll just spread the roots out, and this rhizome actually really needs to be on the surface because the rhizomes need to get some sun to see some bloom. That's what I pictured putting this in here. Okay. Key is just to anchor this rhizome in place. So I think what I'm going to do, in addition to the soil, is get some small rocks to anchor this rhizome in place, especially with storms on the way. I don't want to have these things blown over. Now, normally you can reduce these fans, cut them back to avoid wind rock and that sort of thing, but they're not very big, so I think they're going to be okay. This is in the company of some daffodils, which will die back, and some hostas, which don't get very big. So I don't think they're going to shade out this rhizome. I think it'll get plenty of sun. But let me get some rocks, though, to hold this in place. Okay, so again, there's the rhizome. This needs to see the sun. Here are the roots that come out from it. Those will anchor themselves into the ground as this grows. But in the meantime, I have to keep these roots and this plant in place without covering up the rhizome. So that's what I'm doing here. And on this one, see, it's already starting to lean over a little bit. Here we go. I think that will work. Now let me water them in place. Okay, I've got the rocks all around it to keep this in place. Now it is going to rain all weekend long, but I still need to give it a little bit of water. There we go, just to settle it in place a little bit better. All right, let's show you what we've got so far. So let's start the garden tour at the Black Gum Mound. Now I think this will be a nice addition. It's some warm colors here. We have some daffodils coming up, but of course
those will be gone by mid-spring. I do have a couple of nice yellow tulips and some dianthus here right up front on the east side. The black gum tree, as you recall, this is the majestic variety. Beautiful red foliage for fall and fairly young. I realize I won't live long enough to see it reach its full potential, but after all, we plant trees for the future, not just for ourselves. So it is a beautiful tree, and I know it's going to do really well. And in the winter or in the early spring when it doesn't have any leaves, I think it's just fine to have some plants here that will get plenty of sun in the early spring, plenty of sun when they need it before the tree leaves out. So these tulips, which will be lovely little yellow blooms. And I have to keep some rabbit repellent here because they're just going for it. Dianthus is looking good. Those will be some nice cherry red blooms, very fragrant, which hopefully will thwart some of the rabbits. That's the plan anyway. So those will get plenty of sun because they're on the east side of the tree bed here. Hot cocoa is the biggest disappointment. It looked great last fall when I put it in. Of course, it was kind of late in the fall. But now, boy, just no signs of life. Some really vigorous thorns there, so I don't think it was eaten by rabbits. But boy, maybe I just planted it or transplanted it too late. Meanwhile, remember when we put up the stones here for the poppies? Well, I've got one taker anyway, better than nothing. I'm glad I do that with the stone so at least I can tell what is supposed to be there when it starts to come up. So if I can just get one to germinate, then I can have some seeds here, hopefully, that keep it coming back. Now, I have the high noon tree peony, which is a slow grower, but the leaves are beautiful. So this is a lovely yellow flower. It will get, anywhere from 4 to 6 feet tall eventually, and I can prune it. But we'll see how that goes. I'll keep an eye on that. Some more yellow tulips and some other plants that are, now I think I've got this as an aster that's coming back, so that's encouraging. Meanwhile, the surprise, in a good way, is the Roald Dahl rose. I would have thought he was a goner when I put it in the late fall, but I can definitely see some foliage coming back, so hey, I'll take it. But since this is a rabbit-browsed area, I do keep the wire cloche over the top, at least till it gets going really well. There'll be some more hostas that are coming up here. This are some transplanted hostas. I have some frost heave going on here. I need some mulch. But see, that's what they should look like when they come back, and I think that they will. I just need to mulch this, and again, a lot of rain coming this time of year. So the rest are daffodils and should be good. But as I move on to the other bed, now this was planted by a landscaper, probably about 6 years ago, but the Millennium Allium, always dependable. Love those. And I'm keeping track of the Japanese maple here. I had an arborist stop by and he noticed some bagworms, a single bagworm capsule on this Japanese maple, which you remember we pruned up last year. So I like the form and the structure. What I did then was defoliate the whole tree. It just had dead leaves, but bagworm will use that to make a cocoon and hide itself. It is budding up. I don't see any signs of bagworms, any other cocoons, and I've scoured this tree from top to bottom as well as on the ground. Bagworms can kill a tree. Well, they will kill a tree eventually. So, and since I am an insecticide-free gardener, I like to, hand pick if I can. Daffodils doing well, and I'll keep an eye on that one. As for my containers, I roll them out of the garage this time of year. They need some hardening off, obviously, and these containers aren't necessarily frost-proof either, so that's why I store them in the garage this time of year. But Eustacia Vi, looking good. I need to give her an early spring fertilizer. I did do a little light pruning, so I can't just roll her out in the garage when I see signs of life and leave her out because this weather is so up and down. She would probably have some severe frost damage. She has to acclimate. And I love this. Now, starting in the rose garden, my Niobe and Nubia clematis, which are just beautiful. I love to see them coming back. Now I want this to climb up the drain spout, and so that's what I have this in place, and I have, the ability to attach another segment, so hopefully it can go clear up to the top. But see, aren't the blooms beautiful when it's in bloom? It'll be gorgeous. So nice to see signs of life here. And a rogue tulip. Now this is a passion flower container, a little vine that I had. It was in the garage. I just brought it out because I see it's still alive and might as well get some sun while I can. My Al's Choice peony, remember we lifted this a couple years ago. Every year I'm hopeful I'll get some blooms. It takes a while sometimes. Foliage looks great. I have to make sure and uncover it because I think when I have some digging ground squirrels here, they cover it with additional mulch and dirt, and that happens over the course of the winter as they kind of tunnel under there. It's frustrating, so I have to keep on top of that one. So the tulips and some daffodils and some allium in here that I planted last year, starting to show some growth. That's always encouraging. Stand By Me clematis, starting to make an appearance. Meanwhile, wow, Lady in Red, not so much. And I'm hoping ground squirrels haven't tunneled underneath her. I don't know, but I'm giving it some more time yet. I have ordered some of the roses to possibly replace her if need be. Meanwhile, Louise Clements is showing some signs of life here, some new canes coming up, some new growth, which needs to happen. These canes were kind of in rough shape. So I took it down pretty hard this spring, but see that cane's green. I'm not sure more about that one. I'm going to scratch it a little bit, see if I can see some green. Well, it's maybe not completely dead. No harm in waiting this time of year, waiting another week, reevaluate. And, they're pretty resilient for the most part. Rockin' Round Pure Joy Sedum. Isn't that just joy to see these little leaves come up in the spring? They're so perky. Love it. And, hard prune here for Quicksilver, which was necessary, and it's some regrowth. So I do keep some rabbit repellent. That's that white stuff you see sprinkled around in proximity because rabbits love this new foliage. Ugh, rats. So between the ground squirrels and the rabbits, I've got my work cut out for me. Meanwhile, the iris. Now, this was a clump that I divided, and man, did it like the division. But again, making sure the mulch and the foliage from last fall and the leaves and things don't cover up the rhizomes. These rhizomes need to see sunshine if you're going to see blooms. Otherwise, you'll just get nothing but foliage. So, and the rhizomes can rot too, or be susceptible to critters if you don't keep them dry. High and dry is what they need to be. So I'm constantly scratching at these things, taking out old foliage and making sure that, because this is a full sun area here, a good 8 to 10 hours a day, starting this time of year. So just have to keep those rhizomes uncovered. Wedding Dress, which is her unofficial name. The tag was lost a decade ago, so that's my best guess estimate. White flowers, vigorous shrub, perpetual bloom, no fragrance, but it's happy to see her nonetheless. Morello Agastache, which we just planted about a week ago or so. And I don't worry about rabbits, at least for Agastache. That's the good thing. Another piece of the split iris, which again I secure in place with the rocks. Keep that rhizome in the sun. And I'm going to keep digging at that one and make sure that it's going to do well. But just to see these green fans is encouraging. I have surprise lilies, and I have cat's meow and cat's pajama here. Iris, and boy, no sign of English Miss. She was doing really well last year. But again, it was a weird winter. And so I might have to replace her. A big globe allium right in there. And again, another piece of an iris. Now, my Baptisia is coming back to life, which is, they're supposed to be pretty hardy. So that lovely little purple stalk coming up. And they can get pretty big, which is nice. This is Vanilla Cream, Decadence Vanilla Cream. Some more surprise lily, and no sign of the fairy rose. That's gone. I need to remove that tag. But this, again, I've got 2 unnamed red roses that I've had for 7 years. I did a hard prune because they had some severe winter damage, but that's why they're still here, because they're vigorous. They're at least hardy to zone 5, possibly zone 4, and they're reliable. So the red growth you see there is some new foliage coming up, which is what I need. The daffodils, this was Pink Charm Color Blends mix coming in, but they're so cheerful. It's so nice to see them. The yellow and the salmon, and John Warren Clematis, which I think is probably my favorite clematis. It is so pretty. Now, it's not a very tall climber, but the blooms are huge. And look at that. They come out nice and red ruby, and they fade to a soft pink. But the overall look is gorgeous, especially with my... The good thing about Teresa Bonet, see, I'm training more of these to go horizontal. That brings you more blooms, and that's what I want. That's what you have to keep going. Has some pretty vigorous thorns towards the bottom, which help with rabbit repellent, and I have fenced her up here a little bit too. But man, she is a doer. It took a couple years, but I got the canes tall enough to be able to train them horizontally over this arbor, which is what it takes to get more blooms over the top of the arbor. So these canes are still, I leave them slightly elevated to help them grow, and then I'll pin them down a little bit more to this arbor to try to get the blooms, the pink blooms of early spring, to meet over the whole thing to complete it. And that's before the Sweet Autumn Clematis takes over, and that's a little bit later. But see, this is the way she tends to look here once I get the clematis, Sweet Autumn Clematis, in bloom over the top. Overall, I like the effect of having this arbor here and those plants. The crab bubbles in the back they're just starting to leaf out. So it's a start, and I don't mind that. But it's gorgeous when I see those in bloom peeking over the top of the early spring. Over the fence now, this area is fairly cold and stays pretty moist. New Dawn Rose had to do a hard prune, and it's coming back, which is good. I took a couple of canes out here, which were suspect. I noticed a bird making an appearance in and out of here early on, but not in there right now. I have a Montana clematis, which I don't see any signs yet that it's coming back, but I believe these bloom on new wood anyway, so it might be a little bit early for that. Globemaster allium, that huge thing, making an appearance there. Looks like the start of a tree. Oh, don't you love it? You remember when I planted that, it was, oh my gosh, late October when I put those in. So I have some other things coming in, which is nice. Generous Gardener. Had to trim these down a little bit. I did this twice. She's a good grower. And the more, again, I can get these canes trained horizontally. And I was going to attach it to the fence, but in the meantime, I'm just kind of training it and attaching it to my lilac. So again, trying to get some blooms to go through. And once it gets a little bit longer and taller, I can reattach it back to the fence behind it. But main thing is just getting those canes to go horizontal in the meantime. It's nice to see it in bud. The leaves are coming. That's good. That is my little experiment here of making leaf compost. It's just a burlap sack that I wet down a couple of times and let it rain. It's all right. Oh, yes, hosta spikes starting to come up. I've got Liberty in here, various types. This is a transplanted Annabelle hydrangea coming back to life. Again, more hosta spikes starting to come up. I always try to keep rabbit repellent down. And my bleeding heart, Dicentra spectabilis. Now, this was here when we moved in, but she's beautiful, and I love her. I have some Gypsy Rose hyacinth coming up. You could see that color from 1,000 miles away. They've mostly gone over now, but yes, Nothing touches those, not rabbits, not deer. Yeah, because they're toxic. So, yeah, be careful when you handle those. Got to wash your hands. Now, I have some mucademia behind here. I need to move the label. It's sitting in front of the hellebores. But yeah, those are coming back, as you can see in the background. And this is a lovely hellebore. Don't you love the foliage on this one? So this is one of the new ones that I've planted in there. Have another Annabelle hydrangea that I've put in the back. Those are coming back. Again, more hostas. This is my hosta garden, so it's nice to see them coming back. Several varieties here are in here. So, yeah. And that clump you see off to the right, that is snowbells, which have matured. This is a good time of year to divide them, actually, when they're done blooming, but they're still in the green, as Monty Don likes to say. So it's easier to spot where they are. So back in here, again, I've got some more things coming up, which I'm excited about. The tags have long faded, but, and this is a new hellebore that I've put in place. Ivory prints, I've got 2 new ones, but I like this slightly variegated, interesting foliage, and they're hardy, thank goodness. Glenda's Gloss is the other type of hellebore. So again, the need to put permanent tags is perpetual. Sometimes I put them in. There's another beautiful hellebore. This one has been in place probably 6 years now. I've had tags in place, and when the crew that we hired to do some mulching comes in, or when they've done cleanup in the past, these tags get lost, or in that case, you'll see they're just ineffective. So I love this look here, the beautiful Brunnera in the background with the variegated foliage. Again, more hosta coming up, more Annabelle hydrangea. These have been in place probably 10 years now. My Sambuca lemony lace. I like the foliage. Is really interesting in the spring as it comes up. Another burlap sack full of leaves in the back. Trying to block off rabbits. I don't know if it works. Brunner, I love the Brunnera. Love the Jack Frost here, the variegation of the leaves. And I have some other things popping through. This is budded up. I had to slow it down because it's so beautiful. I do have another one to plant next to this one. I'd like to see more of these, even though they're fleeting. The same thing with these little hyacinths. Even though they're fleeting, they're beautiful. And it shows the importance of walking your garden because you miss this stuff from far away. That is Empress Wu, as I believe. More Autumn Joy sedum. A rose coming back. Healthy foliage. The canes are pliable, so should be fairly easy to wrap those around the obelisk. This is a sedge, a variegated sedge I thought was dead. I even took the tag out. And of course, I don't know what it is. But at least it's there. And the rabbits leave it alone. Some Aquilegia coming back, which is lovely. Perfectly Picasso Speedwell. At least these tags are lasting. I like that. Now, the wisteria we did a hard prune on last year because it needed it. The blooms were down from the previous year. So it's easy to get too much of this spindly sort of growth, which doesn't result in blooms. I'm not as tough on this thing as I probably need to be. I would get more blooms if I did. Now, the issue here, too, is I know that the neighbor behind us is going to remove this fence. This is his fence, after all, which has been in place when we moved in, but it is failing. So that wisteria and some of the things that I've planted right up close to the fence, I have to be mindful of. When they replace the fence, I'll have to take it off and reattach it. We'll see how that goes. He knows I've got things planted there, and he's pretty cool about it, so we'll see. Foxtail lilies coming back, which is, they're multiplying. And yeah, I just leave the dandelion in place. The bumblebees are pretty desperate this time of year. I don't worry about it. So some little fairy garden, which they've kind of grown outsized here now, but I could probably trim those down. And I love my little bluebell variety here that I've got. These are Darwin tulips that have been in place for about 6 years now. They still bloom. I'm surprised, but I'll take it. That's all right. Got a nice little pop of color as we approach that. Yeah, and there's another bloom yet to come, so that's cool. All right, I'll take it. Now this desperately needs to be mulched. I do have some other things coming back in here. Again, the hostas, the Hispanica things that I have planted. So yeah, and this is also where we put the lobelia about a week ago. And so they will take off, and they could be 3 to 4 feet tall with some bright pink bloom, which will be nice. Now the circle of rocks, which get disheveled by squirrels, of course. This is where we planted some poppies, some seeds, some late sowing. Now, I don't expect really to see anything in here. Do I see some green? That could be anything. Too early to tell. But this little walkway gets a lot of foot traffic, dog pressure, as they say. But it does look really good once it comes back to life, so I'll look forward to this. Meanwhile, marsh marigolds, they love it because it's wet here, and I've seen bees on this, early bees on this. Very cheerful. I could chalk this up to a mixed bag, my newest rose bed, because 2 of the 4 of these have not come back. Thomas Becket. Now again, I'm giving him some more time, but good heavens, no signs of life. Carefree Wonder is showing some growth, so that's good. Now I keep it caged off from rabbits. I don't think rabbits are to blame here. I think it's a drainage issue. Lady of the Mist, no sign. Sitting Pretty, though, is all right. So, I mean, if I have drainage that's working here, I don't know why it wouldn't work to the right next to it. Meanwhile, a lovely discovery. Now, I was thinking that this was Katrina rose, which I actually put in my parents' garden.
Please tell me,
but after uncovering this, and we had some rain, I found the rose tag buried in the dirt. And how nice. Yes, it's Lavender Lassie, which is surprising that I actually planted this here because you know what? It's supposed to be hardy to a zone 6. Now, that's pushing the zone a bit, but you know, earlier and probably more robust signs of growth than some of my other roses that are supposed to be hardy down to zone 5. So, and I'm zone 5B. So yeah, maybe it's the warmth of the wall. She's protected from the wind, or this cage was full of a foot of leaves. Either way, she's definitely made it through the winter with gangbusters here. She's just looking great. So training her horizontally, and I'm looking forward to seeing that bloom. Now, this rose has been in place for probably about 6 years, showing some, signs of life. I had to do a hard prune here too as well. So that's to be expected. But yeah, optimistic. The canes are thick and healthy. They're not as pliable as I would like. That's a mushroom that fell from the maple tree behind us. So interesting. Okay. And keeping track of this one yet, and just trying to see how it's going to go. The willow cages are from Spring Hill Nurseries, and that's just serving to prop up the Annabelle hydrangeas here, which I'm trying to decide if I want to move those or not. I'm not sure. I might. This is my red mum, red dandy. So my lesson from last year is prune them hard and prune them often because they're beautiful, but they get super tall and then flop. And this area kind of gets overrun with hydrangea foliage in the late spring. The rose is tall enough and gets enough sun to overcome that, and it kind of grows up. That's fine. Coral Sunset, love it. Look at buds already, and a whole practical bush of healthy foliage. So shiny and gorgeous. Ignore the plant caddies there. And Cosmic Cloud, which I did prune on lightly, but showing growth a little bit late, but that foliage looks good. I'll take it. Now this is on the lower hydrangea bed. again, my hydrangea walled garden. The Rock and Round sedum from last year coming back. This is the lobelia we planted just about a week ago. So those tall 3 to 4 foot spires, I'd plant this more if I could there, but I don't want to block off the air conditioner. My husband will have a heart attack. So autumn sedum doing well. I've got 3 different varieties of iris that I planted last year. Secured them in place with rocks. Keep the rhizomes uncovered. There gets a lot of sun here. That's why Autumn Joy sedum, which was here when we moved in, it does well. I've learned I have to prune it because it flops. And more iris here. Stelladoro daylily up front. And we pruned this last week. And it's coming back. It's starting out. Oh, there's a brand new one. So just a little broken pot, which I loved, but I didn't want to throw it away. So I just kept it there to shade the roots, because remember, all clematis want their roots in the shade and their heads in the sun. So this is my west garden by the stream. And I planted a lot of daffodils, a couple of tulips, but a variety of different things last year and over the years. This area does stay fairly moist, so I'm learning through trial and error what's going to grow and what isn't, what the little squinnies will leave alone and what they won't. Gets a lot of pine needles here, as you can tell. So daffodils, those will be fine. There's some Elvin's voice, some tulips, some phlox. Some phlox coming back here. Blue ribbon. Oh, isn't that pretty? I love the foliage. So this is the splash zone for birds when they like to come in and take a bath. So, and is that a strawberry? I swear it's a strawberry growing there. I don't know. I have heuchera, which I don't always have luck with, coming back. Some camassia that I planted last year, which doesn't mind the moisture, hopefully. Hopefully it doesn't get waterlogged. And lobelia up there on the corner, along with some tulips and some daffodils. A little bit closer look here of the tulips, which so far the rabbits have left alone. I don't want to jinx myself, but so far so good. Now I have Munstead Wood rose inside this trellis. See the red foliage? So she's coming back. That's a good thing. My peony coming back, along with some surprise lily foliage and some iris. Again, I know I'm going to have to get in there and dig out those rhizomes because they have been buried by critters. But this is another look at the stream. And I've got some hosta coming back here, different varieties. I try to stay out of this area mostly. Jackmanii clematis, which has probably been here for 10 years. Blooms on new wood, obviously. But yeah, this time of year, foot traffic can compact this soil. So I try to avoid that. Nice little vinca coming up. Ralph Schugert, Vinca minor. So I've got 2 different clumps that I've planted that you can see coming up. Little Miss Sunshine sedum. That's a new variety for me, so we'll see how she looks this year. And that's another one of those vinca there. That tag has been in the wrong place. More color blends, daffodils coming up. There's the phlox we planted last week. Daffodils, love the daffodils. And Bassie's purple rose. I would say, I know the roots are challenged under here. It was in a sunken container for 3 years that I took out and then put directly in the ground. And I was surprised the roots weren't more established. Boy, this phlox looks pretty, doesn't it? Yes, and fragrant. And, check out the rhizomes again. Gets buried by needles from the evergreen that the neighbors have on the other side of the fence and as well as my own. So just taking out dead foliage and cleaning up this area, making sure these rhizomes see the light of day, or else I won't get any blooms. Now, I noticed last year the blooms were sparse here, but I think it's because the neighbor's evergreen on the other side of the fence was dying, and it did a huge needle cast in this area, and so kind of buried things. Oh, beautiful little plants. Ah, love these little rhizomes. Little tiny bulbs, little tiny flowers. Early spring, which is gorgeous. Yes, and it's perfect for a fairy garden. Little fairy flowers is what they look like. And some other things coming up, some phlox that I've planted, tulips, which will be yellow, as I recall, as they open up. Again, I put some more Darwin tulips in there. So, too early yet to worry about some of these things. My clematis coming up. I think this is multi-pink. So might bloom on old wood. Yes, multi-pink. One of the few tags that has survived here. Shock. It's been in place for about 5 years. So it gets a lot of good sun, this corner, despite the trees and that surround it, but it gets tons of sun in the morning and then pops again in the afternoon. So I've attached some clematis to this fence. And I know, like I said, that the neighbor's going to remove this fence this year and update it because it's 20 years old or more, and it's really had some damage. So just replacing it. These clematis, which for the most part I think are going to be fine. Yeah, see these old tags. I don't even know why he stuck it back in the dirt because it doesn't work. They fade, or look, the tag just disappears completely. It's so frustrating, you know. Now what I need to do is make a diagram, draw one out that has the names of these clematis, because just describing it on a spreadsheet isn't going to cut it. I've tried that, and then the names are lost. Now, on occasion, I can remember what they are if they're fabulous, you know. But for the most part, some of these, it just lost over time. I was planting them over the years, and it's just been lost. Now, I put, again, some more daffodils at the top of the hill. This did have some hosta, but they just got scorched when we lost some trees. Some lamb's ear, that's going to like the sun. That's fine. Now, as you can tell here, I've got David phlox, new thing that I've put in. But this is I've got a couple of different types of honeysuckle. Major Wheeler is one, and Kinsley's Ghost. As I was looking at it, I'm like, yay, okay, so some of it is coming back, and then I go and scan farther down the ground, and I can see that some rabbits probably chewed this, broke it off. I think this was Kinsley's Ghost. So yeah, I mean, it'll grow back, but dag nabbit, you know. Yeah, broke it right off from the trellis. I'm hoping to conceal this electric box, which is uglier than sin, in the back, but I can't block it off by law, so I do what I can. My thornless blackberry, still alive and well. I haven't grown fruit before, honestly, so I'm just tickled pink to see any sort of signs of growth or signs of life for the spring. So I'm just going to hit up my fellow master gardeners for advice on this one to see how to keep it green and growing. Meanwhile, the clematis, these have been in place for a couple years now, and these are coming back, so that's nice. And again, these bloom on some new wood and a combination of old wood. So blue light clematis will be an early dewer, which will be nice. Train her to go over the arbor. Hopefully we'll make it. Now you remember I planted the honeysuckle, yellow honeysuckle, to replace the Tangutica that I lost last year, which will come up. I think that'll be kind of nice. Morning Glory was on the other side, but I might not let that happen this year. My azalea and rhododendron here by turns are, I think, still alive. So that's okay. All right, yeah. Looks like leaf buds to me. Again, still early. This area stays kind of cold and damp because it's on the north end of my house. And so that's always kind of tough. Hellebores, they don't care. But this azalea, well, I don't know if she is alive. I don't have the heart to take her out yet because I know sometimes these are slow to wake up. But I pruned it last year, late in the fall. And, I don't know. We'll just kind of keep an eye out. But meanwhile, yeah, the hellebores are working. So is the wild ginger. That's good. And you remember the plant that we put in here, the mountain laurel, which is new to me. Love the foliage, though. Isn't that pretty? Let's go over the fence and take a look at the lower north garden here. Pinkadot. Just beautiful. And rabbit resistant because this foliage is, in addition to variegated, it's kind of bristly. So they don't go after it. I know some of these are just kind of slow to get started. Nice to see it. And then that's rabbit proof because they're toxic. I have some big allium here that I can see the foliage, so that's a good thing. It'll be just fine. And some daffodils planted in here. This was my high wire flyer rose, which is showing signs of life. So is Henry Kelsey. And Seven Sons tree is doing well. And finally, since it is now raining outside, we're going to have to wrap this up inside. And I wanted to give you an update on the seeds that I started, as you recall, a little bit earlier. So if you take a look, let me show you down here. All right. Now, this one is probably doing the best. I think the geraniums that I started from seed definitely taking off. Now you'll notice that I double planted in each little seed compartment, and I will, as they grow up a little bit more and get some true leaves, then I will thin them out to just one per cell. The blue glitter Euringium has also mostly germinated. I've got a couple of cells there that haven't, but again, same thing. They're taking off, which is nice to see. Same thing here. I planted up a bunch of that one. Here I have the impatiens. I didn't have really good germination there, but at least the ones that did take off are growing. It's a little bit delayed here for some reason. I think what I found was, and I know Aaron, the impatient gardener, who I love to follow, had the same issue. We start these on heat mat, and it might get them started, but then after a while, the soil draws out too fast, and perhaps, I don't know, it almost cooks the seed. So I think it kind of hampers more than anything else. This one has gone dry. You can see there was nothing in there. But this one has started to take off the lobelia. And again, the real work here now is just to keep these cells moist. At least they're mostly big enough that I can bottom water from the tray, but some of these still have to be misted on top. Looks like this one has started to dry out, so I have to be sure to mist these two cells. Okay, but again, more lobelia here that has started to take off, so I have to keep those watered, and they are, let me try this again. How about if I get it level? It's a daily check-in to make sure these are still staying on track. So the hard part about seed germination is making sure, you have to be present or have someone who you can rely on to watch over your seedlings when they're at this really vulnerable stage. Because if they dry out with one missed watering or stay overly wet, they're going to rot. So that's the hard part. Luckily, I'm not going anywhere for a while. But my dahlias, meanwhile, half of them that I started early, this is Joyful Investment, is really taking off. So these two have taken off. That's the good news. I've also got 2 more pots that haven't done anything. Now, I'm not tossing them out yet because I don't know if maybe they're just slow to get started. I do have some more dahlias to start, and I have some more on the way. But in my zone 5B garden, it's way too early and too cold to put them out yet. The ground temperature has to remain on the low end of 50. And honestly, that doesn't happen till like the middle of June around here, if I'm lucky. So any dahlias I start right now have to be started indoors and stay indoors until the weather gets warm enough, because I've made that mistake. Now, what I have gotten in the meantime, as you can see down here, is a new little tray of succulents that I will put in a planter outdoors. Now, these are different variety of hardy succulents that I got from Leaf and Clay. I got them online, although there are a number of things that now your local garden store hopefully is having some succulents that are coming in now too. So I bought these. It's not an endorsement here, but I continue to visit my local garden stores, and that's always a big temptation. But so many jobs yet to do. But I'm keeping these indoors right now, and before I pot those up and get ready to put those outside. These succulents, believe it or not, are much more susceptible, much more manageable in these fluctuating temperatures than dahlias. If these get too cold even once, they're dead. So that's the way that goes. Never a dull moment. I hope all is green and growing in your corner of the world, and that you keep me posted on maybe how your seedlings are doing, or your dahlias, or your garden. It's a changeable time, and it seems it definitely changes from week to week. So next week, I think we'll have some tulips open, and hopefully all the daffodils will be open. I'll have, hopefully, next time we check in next week, the mulch will be down, and I think that will improve the look of a lot of those beds. And I will be getting some new roses arriving to replace some that I'm not going to call it yet on a couple of those. Maybe it's still early. But yeah, I think I've lost at least 3 roses this year that will have to be replaced. Love my roses, even though they're like a bad boyfriend. Bound for disappointment at some point. Anyway, I hope to see you soon. I do hope that you subscribe and like. And also, next time we get together, I guarantee my voice will be better. Got to get over the sinus infection at some point. Although there's nothing wrong with sounding like Lauren Bacall. And I hope you're old enough to know who Lauren Bacall is, by the way, if I know my audience. Anyway, take care all, and I'll see you soon.